in both German and English, but imagine this where you're wanting to heat up something. She's just going to move the burner where she wants to put it, and then turn it up. That's kind of crazy. Kitchen faucet that comes out is hidden. And if you can imagine, Hedek is our partner. I mean, this is a double-sided dishwasher where you fill it from this side if you're having a party and then take the stuff out on her side, which is really crazy. Great. Just a great concept, great idea. So, everything's kind of electronic. You don't see the microwave. The microwave comes down because it's on the screen. So it's kind of weird because typically you would see the thing cooking, right? You want to go there and see how it's doing. But she can go over there and she can make that screen show up on her cooktop or the front of her refrigerator. And she can see what's going on there, and she can push on it, and she can see what the monitor in the kids' room's doing and what the backyard looks like. And it's the idea that when you're done, you put everything away, and I'll explain that more with another video. At least give you my impression of why that is what it is. And then, if she wants to, download a recipe, she's got Google at her fingertips where she can just go, you know what, let's see. I'm going to turn this up. I'm going to run that for 44 minutes. She's got this screen up the side. Let me see how the turkey's doing. Let me get a recipe. That's the playroom monitor going on. I'm kind of ad-libbing because my German isn't that good, but obviously she could go in there and grab a recipe, and she can pull out what she wants to see. This is the kitchen of the future. And, it's not ready to go now, but this stuff will all turn into what we know as the future. And to me, this is one segment of the market. This is the kitchen of the future, but that doesn't mean it's the cabinet of the future. And you can see all the different binning systems that they have and how they go about things a little bit different. But that's fabulous. That's the kitchen of the future, that kind of thinking. They have the dampening system, soft close. They also have soft open. You can just touch it, and it'll kick open for you. And then you've got the dampening soft close, you just give it a feel, and it does that. Everything over there is dampened. If you want to just enjoy some more of the thought process of where cabinets could go, if you just go on to YouTube and put in Hedek, there's probably 50 different videos, and ones that just focus on the different dampening systems that go with all the different wardrobes and cabinets, and there's other ones as well, but this is what I do with my spare time. But again, you still have to keep coming back to the point where there's only so many different boxes. The rest of it is what you put in. That's what determines its usefulness. You're giving it purpose. You're not having to actually try to understand the technology. So I think that there's a great opportunity there for somebody to focus on how do we sell the technology of cabinetry and let them give it the purpose. And I think that's the way to create distribution in America and be a category killer. Can't see this, but the value proposition to me is, what's the difference if a haircut costs $25 against one that's $100? Well, the difference is $75. But mostly, it's perception of value. We succeeded in selling more products because we knew more. So what happens is, where people want to take a category and they want to minimize because they want to tell you enough to get you to buy it, category killers do something much more than that. And I would like to spring off of Tuesday's meeting, because I'm a serial Apple stalker, which means there's more than Steve Jobs, but this is very interesting. This is Jonathan Ive. He's the one that's in charge of all the products. So what I want you to do when you watch this is think about what I teed up for you here. Think about the opportunity of cabinetry. Think about what I just put up there and measure it in your own mind. Is it possible to take people and educate them more on why they should do business with you? Is it possible to take people further in their thought process for how cabinetry and the whole idea that it's not just cabinetry, but it's a lifestyle product that they're buying? Because cabinetry could be viewed differently than what it's been before, because again, we've been sold on its purpose ahead of the construction. It's like, I gotta go buy some kitchen cabinets, and when you build a house, and Dave will tell you this, there's a company that builds the kitchen cabinets, and then you go to the Nebraska Furniture Mart and you buy your other stuff, and then you get the vanities, and then the contractor is a friend of his that's in the cabinet business, and he's the one that puts the utility cabinets in, or you go to Lowe's and you get the white ones and you hang those in there because all the utility rooms are white because nobody makes that stuff that matches. And if you want to do your garage, you're on your own. And if you want to do your basement, then make that a project that happens later. You know what I mean? That's kind of how people kind of, and it's like, is it possible to be a one source for residential commercial cabinets with all the options and accoutrements that come with it, with a very solid understanding of what makes the best cabinet? And what makes the best cabinet are materials, the overall design, the thoughtfulness that goes into it. That's something that's really, really important. It's all of that that needs to get baked into this recipe for cool. So I want you to think about that when you hear Jonathan Ive explain what Apple does with their products. This dude is like, when it comes to design, he's brilliant. He's just hilariously brilliant. So when you think about something, if you put it into the context of what he's talking about, this thing is indicating something, but most companies go out and make it a feature. Hey, look at this great big stop button here. Look at this great big deal over here. And their psychology is it only needs to indicate something if it needs to indicate something. Other than that, you don't want to make it a feature. So the painstaking process that goes into redefining a product is the most important part for where we're at right now. It's for us tonight is to get an idea of what the opportunity could be if we cross-pollinate all these different lines of distribution and help people uncloud their thinking, and behind the scenes for us to look at every single aspect of where people stand and what they do. And when you watch those other videos, the gal that's in there, she's got a kid in each arm and she's kicking the thing and it pops out and she can, and it's like, we have to go to a different level of thought. So tonight, for the cool concept, is, if you could give me the next slide if it's possible. Not sure. What I'm describing to everyone is that we need to become quite fanatical and realize that you see this at Simpatico right now. We're guilty of this. What is it that we have to do in order to just make something or ship it or complete a transaction? You know what I mean? It's like minimum effort instead of maximum thought. It's like, well, this would be the easiest way to do it. This is how we get it. And it's like, oh, we've got to find a way to get that out of our vocabulary and realize that what we're really chasing is somewhat of a fanaticism for how we view the way people should interact with cabinets. As dull and as boring as that may sound, we could take it to that level, because I just showed you what the kitchen of the future looks like. Well, you can't get to the kitchen of the future if you don't think of it differently. If you're not out there on the edge of what could happen or what could be or what the possibilities may end up, well, what do we have to look forward to? And so what I'm asking is for everybody to become a little more fanatical about the thought process for best method. And we've started talking about best method last year, where we want everything and everybody to make sure that they align themselves with this is the best way to do it. Strip yourself out of it, and your opinion, and all that kind of stuff, because you know what? Sometimes you may not have the right thing, and other times it may be your idea. But could we become a little more fanatical in the direction where we want to make products and deliver products to the marketplace, where we take the time to educate people? And I'm going to go back again to when I sold hair care products. I had to do it better than everyone else because I didn't have mass. I didn't have bigness. I had me, day one. And then I had 2 or 3 people, and then 5 people. But I never lost sight of the fact that I thought I could educate hairdressers on what made great products. Because the difference between a $25 haircut and a $100 haircut is the perception of value in some instances. So what makes up the difference? If you let enough water out of the tub, to get below the hole, so to speak, it'll start holding water again. It depends on where you want to start poking the holes that determines how much water gets left out. So it seeks its own level, and it seeks its own level of value depending on who's creating the value. So one hairdresser only has the ability to create a value to the consumer of $25 for her skill or his skill. And somebody else is able to go out in that marketplace and go, I need 100. And what's interesting about that, the lines for getting that haircut seem to be a little bit longer with the guy that's asking 100. Because people want to know, is that person qualified to change my life, like we talked about on Tuesday? If you perceive that that person could change your life and give you something else that would make you more beautiful and more appealing to the world, you'd spend the $100. So the perception of value is a very, very important part of the value proposition. It's never what you spend. It's what you get for what you spend. And so it really is going to go a little bit deeper than that when you start talking about, well, what determines the sale price? Well, how much does it cost? What are the bill of materials? How much is the bill of materials? And then let's put our little margin and let's put our little formulas to it. And it's like, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to create something and say, what is this value proposition worth? And then we're going to back in through our costs so that we can marginalize the business. But we also, at the same time, need everyone to understand the value proposition. And that is, let's get it out of our head, what it costs. Let's talk about what the value is and where does that value come from. We have to be able to create cabinetry that speaks differently to consumers. Nobody's out there educating at the time that I was educated. There was like hairdressers like, well, we have the most popular line here, so they instinctively sold a lot of that product because they had national advertising and stuff like that. But I was a single line guy. I had to hang my hat on the fact that I knew more about hair and I could educate the hairdressers on it, and I never took a back seat to those people ever. It was frustrating for those big, giant distributors. They were irritated by me because, you know what? I could go in there and I would educate the hairdressers more, and they had more product knowledge, so when their salesman came in, they could sit there and drill him, and he didn't have the answers because he wasn't selling a value proposition. He was selling the deal of the month. And what I talked about the other day was the Me Too products. I got these. Just put up my line in and fly off the shelves. It'd be just like going in, if you were establishing a new product in a convenience store, the Coke guy goes in and goes, yeah, whatever, put Coke. And you put in Coke because you got to have Coke, right? But if you're going to establish some new energy drink or something like that, you've got to have a foundation of thought that goes with it. It says this is what you're going to get from this buying proposition, right? So here's the proposition. Go to the next slide. I say we are a software company first and a cabinet manufacturer second. Because the way to distribute this product is not to go out there and make cabinets. That's the end result. The first thing we need to do is develop the software so that all these little minions of people out there can go out there and get onto our software and have a user experience that makes it so that they want to choose our products, because if they have a great user experience and they're able to go in there and populate their clients' spaces with our stuff, and they can do their boardroom, and they can do their bathrooms and their utility rooms, and they can do the offices. You can do the whole floor of something. That one interior designer could get engaged and involved in our software program that makes her life an experience, a different experience. And at that point, my belief is we put that same kind of thinking into what Jonathan Ivey puts into my MacBook Air and Mary's MacBook Air and Spencer's MacBook Air. You put that kind of thought into that product, it is better. And the perception of value is there because you took all the time to make sure that everything was baked into the recipe of that particular cabinet, no matter what its use is. So, Cool needs to become a software company first. And that's why we made the change to Inventor. So we had a better Autodesk platform. Now I don't want to get too far ahead of myself because we've got 2 cabinet engineers in here and a 3rd one on the way. And kind of a crossover, hybrid, engineerish thinking. Jessica over here.
Trey.
Yeah. She's
Mary
like,
said no.
I don't,
I did.
She's like, I don't want to be an
No,
engineer.
she's one of the designers.
I know the whole story. I get it. But together, if we develop a methodology of understanding, we have an instant marketplace to deliver a better experience to what I would consider our client. Because my goal would be to have 5,000 interior designers, construction companies, architects, engineers out there that gravitate to our software because it makes their life better, easier, and they could take our stuff, our libraries, and populate all those rooms with them and sketch them up and put the different finishes on. And then behind this curtain, it's got the DNA for how to engineer that product and what that costs are, and they could instantly get some pricing, and we could give them some ship dates on it, and we could have people that could go out and are certified installers that don't look like other people's installers, and people that go in because the stuff is well thought out and it bolts together, and it's this hanging rail system that we have teed up that some of you people know about, that I've created this extruded piece of aluminum that goes in there that holds the cabinets and helps it make them repurpose it so that the sustainability loop is closed, and all these things that people put into it. So when they sit down with these people, it's a way to bring all of this knowledge into one software program. And we have all these people that can't just buy enough stuff from us. And we're focused at the company making sure that we are delivering an experience to them. And then, secondarily, we're a cabinet manufacturer. And we're at that point because of the benefit of the amount of business that we have today, to be able to support thinking outside that. And if you go back to a little video I played on Tuesday, Stephen Jobs was talking about, what the money allows to have happen. It allows you to invest into things that are more long-term. If you remember, if you caught that little thing, it was right there. It was huge in what he said, because our cash flow right now with the franchise business allows us a chance to think differently about the equipment, the investment in the inventor, and people. So something like this would truly happen, the way I see it. And Cool's been out there for a while, and it's been kicking around in my head. Been trying to get my arms wrapped around what kind of opportunity that would be. But I think it's right there. I think we're just we're knocking on the door because we can go, yeah, you know what? We want to get that going. That would be exciting. Yeah, we think we can do that. So anyway, I love the fanaticism part, because I think if you can allow yourself a chance to think that way, then when you get an opportunity to think about what you do with that portion of the business, it doesn't become something that wears you out. It's like, well, that's just the way it is. So the thing I laugh about Jonathan Ivey is that he's right. It's quite crazy kind of thinking that way, right? It's nutty. They sold 250 million iPods. It's not that crazy to think that way. And what I've read is that they would take like laptops and they would drop them in an aquarium, and if bubbles came out, they said, okay, there's room in there to consolidate and make it thinner and thinner. You got to find a way to stack all those things, and because if it holds air, there's still There's air in it. That means there's room inside it. You know, he went from the 3-button mouse down to 1, and they didn't think it could happen. 90 days later, they had a $15 mouse with 1 button. You know why? Because people think differently. So that's what tonight you're here because you're the drivers of Simpatico's business. And I don't want you to divert away from your thinking on a daily basis for what you do to make the engine run. But I think it's important where we're at to let you know that this is well inside our grasp. We're going to take over the 26,000 square feet from the S&S, and I'm planning to put a 5,000 square foot room in this. Even though it's not going to be pretty, it's going to be fairly ugly. So that we can go out and start talking to professional people and start getting people used to who we are. Because they're going to see our trucks, because we're going to decorate all of our trailers. And it's going to have stuff on there about cool. And people are going to see it, and they're going to wonder. And then we're going to have a website that addresses it, that says, hey, you know, this is the cool thing, cool's happening, how to be cool. And a lot of this stuff is going to start chipping away, but I could see when we can start bringing construction companies and some of these people and start taking more of a design-build mentality that says, come on in, let's talk about what your needs are in cabinetry as we're developing the inventor for our current clients and making sure that we basically understand everything that we're doing from that one cabinet. And then I want to start securing tighter relationships with the headaches of the world. And I've got a couple things up my sleeve as far as a new facility that brings clients in and lets them experience the product like we experienced when we went to the transparent Volkswagen factory in Dresden. You know what? When you're buying a car there, you can walk right out onto the floor, the Canadian maple floor, and you can touch your car as it's being made. You can put a couple bolts on the car. It's that interactive. It's an amazing thing. And then when they take it from the basement up to the first floor and you're going to drive it out, all this steam and smoke comes and the doors open up and you drive your new $120,000 car out of the factory. And I'm thinking, you know what? I like that. And when we toured Headache, we're up above on a rail and we could see it all happening. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, you got to do that, because if you're going to re-educate consumers on the importance of what it is that you build, you have to let them see it and touch it. You can't talk about it. You have to demonstrate it. You have to show it. You have to be the example of it. So I can see where interior designers would come into our platinum LEED building that's built into the side hill because we want to control the temperature and do these things. And you're walking along and you can see the manufacturing processes below, and you can turn and see it on the screen. And if you have a question, you can push the button and ask the edge bander a question, and he can have a headset on because this little light goes on, and he's like, yeah, sure, I'm going to take this, I'm going to put it through here and stuff like that, and they can see it going through, and they're like, wow, that's really amazing, because you know what? I learned in the hair care business, it doesn't matter if you put the effort in, it pays. People perceive that you know what you're doing because you're educating them more. I go to a physician's assistant because I'm a learner and I need more information. So I had to get away from the doctor because he didn't tell me shit. He just wrote me a prescription. But you know what? That PA, I sit down and she explains everything about what I'm doing and and where my baselines are and stuff like that. And she gives me a half-hour consultation. That's where the value is for me. That's where it is for the general consumer, the way I see it. You would feel the same way about anything if you knew what everybody else knew about it that worked there. We would all feel the same way. It would be real easy. You go, oh, I love this product. Let me just share with you why this product is better. And people leave with the idea that, you know what? They are better. They are more thought out. They are what Jonathan Ivey said. We've put all of that into the product. We put all that thought into it because we're fanatical about what we want. This is the experience that we want to deliver to everybody. It's not about buying cabinets anymore. It's about having a user experience. But who's our client? It's the person that's out there that represents that we have to educate. But I can see them coming through and coming back, and I can see a classroom there where we bring people in and educate them on how to deliver that experience, how to use that software to do it. Because on the end of it, there's animation and there's rendering tools that are in there for these people. So when we're doing our engineering, we're doing our engineering for us because we have clients. But we're once removed, you got to go to the thought process. We're building an engine, and we're going to develop a delivery system, and we're also going to develop a lead system for getting us new business. That at some point, if there was 500 designers and they all sold one job each to one of their commercial accounts, you'd have 500 orders that would fit inside 63 boxes. Because we can master that kind of throughput all day long. And then what you see is you see Nobelia. That's exactly what Nobelia does. They have 3,500 dealers, some of them joiners, whatever, taking their trucks, going out there and populating America with, or Europe with their stuff. I'm looking at them, and I'm thinking, hey, okay, we can do that. We can do that. I think we have one more. Do we have one more video? One more video? Mary's like,
Oh, 4 more slides, sorry.
oh, 4 more slides. I want to explain this too. The aluminum crossover business, because Cody, you might be thinking, well, why am I here? Am I just here to escort my mom here? You know what? I love this material. I love the look of it. I love it because it's non-ferrous. There's no iron ore in it. You can use any kind of wood tool you want to cut aluminum. You can shape it, form it, extrude it, recycle it. It just is it's an amazing, and I love the look of it too. So there's a whole bunch of crossover stuff that's here, and I brought a little video of it because we're doing it right now. I mean, we're talking about extruding our own stuff. We're talking about different ways to use aluminum. This is just something I found out there. This is just one company out there that makes
this is a splashback pantry with a TamberTech door and wool storage units above.
You know what's interesting? Think of the number of businesses that we're in. Now we make a sliding aluminum door, and we've made 2 different versions of the pocket door. We're working on the swing door. We got a barn door. But we've got, I don't know, $300,000–400,000 worth of equipment back there. That it doesn't care what it cuts. The saw's going to care. The saw can cut that. We're in the glass business. We buy a lot of glass veneers, and we're kind of doing that a little bit different, but there's no reason we can't incorporate that. You know, we're in the logistics business. There's no reason why we can't take our product anywhere that we want. We can take them to our own showrooms and have places where people come and things get delivered. And from there it goes and gets installed in the commercial world any way that we want. We're in some very unique businesses, and we're in those businesses for our current clients. And I'm just saying, there's no reason why we can't leverage the business that we're in and create more lead generation for additional products. Now, one of the things that I'm going to do also with that space that we're talking about is I'm going to set up a separate facility to do all the R&D, because that's the way IKEA does it. Because it's too hard. It's just trying to put something through the shop. It's just like, that's a throughput shop. It's really set up for mass production. It's not, we can't build one thing to save our ass. Am I right? Amen. Amen. So why don't we take 3,000–4,000 feet of that, and we'll just set it up. We'll figure out which is the inchiest corner, and go throw some lights in it. Let's throw a router in there that's sitting in the basement. We got an edge bander there if we want to use that. We got an extra dowel inserter. We need a small case clamp. We need a few benches. Why don't we just sit back there, and every time we have one of those ideas, we'll go back there. And then we'll work it out. And then we'll bring it up front. And then we'll put it online. And then we'll mass produce it. I think that makes the best sense. So, we can just steal that idea. I mean, ideas, they were nice enough to help us out with that idea, because I was watching Ultimate Factories and went, oh, that's how they do that. Oh, so they don't suck like we do when we try to build one of anything, right? We've got all that stuff sitting there. Let's just set it up and think differently. So you can see where that could become the seed that gets planted right there on every one of these design ideas. We can go play them all out as we're developing the catalog, as we're developing our standards, as we're becoming little weird fanatics. And we can have fun becoming family over the whole idea. So we have 26,000 feet, and I'm going to put it to use. We also have 3 years barely to make our mark and then leave. Because I'm putting an offer in on some land marked. And that will, if everything goes, and, you know, there's just a million things to do. You know, I'm just saying, I'm ponying up and going, okay. And it's right on I-80. And it's that triangle piece that's across the street from Cabela's. And I made mention to one of our other vendors, Daniels Olson, that said, you know what? You guys need to be right next door. That way we don't have to go looking for our material. We can just convey it right into our building. And why not? Why not? They're renting space. Why don't you rent from us? We're your biggest client. We're headaches. We're now in the top 5 for headache in the U.S. We're number 1 in the Midwest region for our purchases. We have their attention. This isn't headache, but when you go to that European show and you see how big your partner is, and you figure that you're just taking a little bit from them, but in the scheme of things, we're important where we're at for those people, and we get their support. Mary will back us up. They love us. And Headache's a wonderful company. I mean, they are just world freaking class. Why aren't we leveraging that? We're buying $550,000 a year in drawer tracks from them. They have tons of shit in the book. We can get anything we want in that book because of who we are. And we're direct with them. We don't go through distribution. We can think differently. Maybe they want to have a little bit of distribution in the Midwest. Maybe they want to take the end bay of our building. How can we surround ourselves with the same theories that you see in Europe? Because, you know, when you go to Nobilia, about a mile away is Headache, and the board people are right down the street, and I'm thinking, well, that makes sense. Wow, it's just, can you make that a community and just bring them, can you just put everybody together, let them pay a little rent to us? You know, let's leverage the relationship, right? Can we have that showroom right out there on I-80 that everybody gets a chance to go by? We can be a solution to a lot of people if we think differently. And let me tell you what, in my opinion, that is the deep end of the pool. Nothing wrong with franchise, I love it. But there's no reason why we can't think totally out of the box and do something totally outrageous, because we know it happens. And the people that I go out and study are the people that really want to bring mass to something, a mass solution, whether it's computers or, in John Paul Pedoria's case, tequila. It really doesn't matter what the product is. Those people were just thinking that they could go out there and be a game changer to the way people experience products, whatever it is, either because we don't have it or because they want to make what we have better. It really doesn't matter. It's just thinking differently and leveraging where we're at. So tonight was just for us to just come together where the drivers of the business have a toast, break some bread. I really think highly of what you people do as people and what you do for Simpatico. I just wanted to just kind of, I don't know, have a couple drinks, eat. I just want your takeaway to be, I don't want everybody to get out there, you know, on planet Jupiter, because that's where I get to spend my time. You can't, because you got to make the mothership run. But these pivots that I was talking about on Tuesday are a historical perspective. And when the guy was talking about connecting the dots, you don't know sometimes till you're out there and then you see exactly what the dots were. I'm just trying to bring you current the thinking of Simpatico where it's at today. And the future we haven't written yet. So I don't think of this as being something that's just so far out. I just want to let you know that's where I'm thinking today. But we're 60 days away from having more space. That shop thing will happen. We will expand. We have staff that we've dedicated to these projects. You're not as clear in the picture as, because I'm poor Jessica. I'm like, hey, I got this this new tabletop CNC machine, and I'm just going to bring it over by your desk because you're going to help us figure out what we can build with it. And it's like, well, what are you going to do with it? I go, I don't know. But it etches. I don't know if there are going to be signs. I don't know what we're going to do. But I just, she's very open to a lot of things. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to keep inundating her with stuff until she goes, Uncle. But you know what? We're not doing enough with those wall systems, you know, where we have the wavy wall. I want to do it the opposite, where we go and take out all the negative space and do some, you know, and have some kind of moon theme that's there that has, you know, a bunch of unique things and this little machine to figure out different ways that we can carve and etch and stuff like that. We have the resources to put a lot of this stuff around us now, and it's going to be like my bike. When I talk about my bike, I'm not talking myself out of it. I waited forever to be in a position to be able to, you know, fund ideas, fund people, and yeah, I don't know. And I just want to share it too. That's the important part too. It's really not about me. It's about the environment and what we can create together. And Spencer, you're here because we'll get you back at some point. And we'll, because you know what? At some point, I just feel like we're going to just keep working together. You know, it happens. You know, Ed, we worked together, you left, Gillian, you've been gone for a while, Linda, you left for a while, and guess what? There's something that keeps bringing us back, right? Timing's everything, so a little exposure to people who aren't in our world currently, but I don't know. It should be fun. Whatever we do is going to be pretty fun. So, have some fun tonight. Stephen Jobs is one of his quotes, good artist copy, great artist steal. When we go to Europe, there's no doubt in my mind, I'm a great artist. They're open to it, and they'll let you steal whatever you want and bring home. And they're happy about it. So we're all ears when we go over there. But there's opportunity out there, and we're going to seize it, and that will be the difference. We will touch it. We will grab it. So have fun. Thanks for being here tonight. Order off the menu. Have drinks. The food's delicious. For those of you who leave tomorrow, thank you for being here. Come back soon. And someday we'll have a condo for you to stay in. Yay!